guaranteed. Visit arnoldclark.com.
Welcome to Peter and Roughie's Football Show. It's Friday, 2nd of October. I'm Peter Martin, Tam McManus, Charlie Adam, and of course Roughie here with us as usual on a Friday. You can like, share and follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Lots to talk about, lots of people to give a mention to. Quick one, a message from Jim Ross in Edinburgh says, I wish Killie players all the best, and it proves that lower league clubs need to test at least once a week. And the reason he sent that message is, of course, because Kilmarnock against Motherwell has been called off. The entire Killie squad has now got to go into isolation for 14 days, 6 players in total. And the bad news is 3 games now. Roughie, Killie will have to sit it out. They've got Dunfermline and Falkirk in the Cup on the horizon, as well as this one against Motherwell to miss.
Yeah, I think we all hoped that this wouldn't be on the horizon, but lo and behold, it's happened. I'm sure we have to deal with it accordingly. It's a sore one for Kilmarnock, but as you said there, it's right. It just, the testing has to be spot on. I think there's a disaster round the corner if there are clubs not testing properly. You've seen what's happened. Kilmarnock are testing properly. So yeah, it's a big worry now, for everybody concerned, and it's a sore one for the club.
No surprise, Tam, that the SPFL are investigating this one to find out exactly what has happened that so many Kilmarnock players have contracted this COVID.
Yeah, listen, it's a disaster. 6 players down, a game being postponed, and we've spoke about it so many times in this show, Peter, that we can't afford games to get postponed. We've not got any extra dates to fit games in. It's really, really tight as it is, and we've obviously been allowed to go ahead. St Mirren had a couple of goalkeeping issues, and some teams had 2 or 3 players out, maybe 4, but I think 6, and a risk of spreading it not only amongst your own club but the Motherwell players tonight. So I think it was the right call to call it off, Peter. And it's a horrible thing. It's a horrible day for us because if this happens regular, then we're not going to get the season finished. There's absolutely no doubt about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of people saying Tam looks absolutely magnificent today. Haircut, it looks an absolute belter, says Niall. So I don't know what's happened, Tam. Have you just basically, have you gone for the Brill cream look and everything and just, you look super smart today. The amount of people who've mentioned how great you're looking on this, whereas...
it's because of a picture, Peter. I've got a good picture.
Is that,
I've been a picture
well,
for
exactly.
about 6 months.
Well, exactly. People just actually watched the hazy screen but could hear your voice for the last 6 months. But Charlie, just on the point of the game being called off tonight, the one thing I would say is, okay, they're going to have their work cut out trying to get everybody into these fixtures, but it's going to happen elsewhere. This could be a regular situation. It's going to be a nightmare.
It is, and I think this is a blow for Scottish football. I think you can accept 1 or 2 maybe, even down in England, they're obviously going to get 1 or 2 incidents now and then. But to have 6 players of your, at the same club, there has to be an investigation into it from the club and also from the authorities. Is it maybe the lads are still car sharing or whatever? Do you know what I mean? There's got to be a reason why, because it's a huge blow for Kilmarnock as a club and also for Falkirk and Dunfermline as well, because they would have, planned this game and paid out on maybe pre-match meal or whatever, and it's another expense that they probably don't need.
Yeah, I have to say, big thank you to a few people who have messaged and said, today's live show says it's Thursday the 1st. Don't worry about it on YouTube. We'll change that to Friday the 2nd for you, so you know you're not caught in a time zone as well. And of course, some people will look at it and say it's Thursday the 1st of 1955, because obviously you can look at Tam's hair and think he looks like an extra from a Bugsy Malone movie. But I can tell you that it is actually 2020. He's looking magnificent. He's with us and ready because, quite simply, as well as the disappointment of Kilmarnock Motherwell, we will be looking over the Premiership predictor because Roughie, because he's an old campaigner, myself because of our experience, this is what we call reeling in time, and we're slowly but surely reeling in McManus, as you will find out later on in the show. As far as predictions tonight, we'll get the thoughts of Charlie, Tam and Roughie as well. You can give us your thoughts on how you think the games are going to go, but the first stop has to be the Europa League. Two great results, Charlie. Let's start first of all with Rangers. Two top drawer goals. Sensational.
I think it's over the piece. I like to see, for the whole of Scottish football, this is huge. This possibly gives us an opportunity automatically back into the Champions League. Both clubs have been, Celtic scraped through in the last round, done a professional job last night, and Rangers, I think, were magnificent last night, right from the first whistle. They had a plan. Galatasaray, no mugs, coming the Champions League team, really, and the two goals were fantastic. The way they started at the back was incredible, and it's a great result for the whole club. And look, I think before the window closes, they'll look to try and get a couple of players in. Yeah, this is what Steven Gerrard had to say about the draw.
We have to respect the opposition that are in the group as well. They're good teams in their own right. They've got good players, but we will take each game as it comes, and we'll give it everything we've got, and try and do our best to try and finish as high as we can in the group. I'd be disappointed if we don't get out of the group, because I think the players have shown, certainly over the last couple of years, that we've got a level in Europe that we're a tough nut to crack, and we've shown amazing quality going forward as well.
Yeah, here is that Europa League draw. Just in case you haven't seen it, of course, excitement for the Scottish clubs: Benfica, Standard Liège and Lech Poznan for Rangers. Celtic with AC Milan, Sparta Prague and Lille. Arsenal in the group with Rapid Vienna, Molde and Dundalk. And also Braga, AEK, Leicester, and the other one is Zorna Lunatsk. So there is
well done, Peter.
the draw. I was just about to say to you, I actually looked at it and I thought to myself, I hope my eyes can see that, because of this. The polling, as you can see, has really had a go at my eyes today. But nevertheless, Tam looks great next to me. Charlie always looks measured and in designer gear, apart from the other week there. We're going, I think, Roughie, it's got to be the fastest ever. We mentioned to Steven Naismith yesterday that Charlie Adam produced the fastest ever wardrobe change this show has ever seen.
Yeah, well, that just shows you when you've got assistants nearby to help you, and select what you want to wear. It was so quick. It was really, really lucky that somebody, whoever it was talking, just talked that wee bit longer than usual, because if it had been a short talk, it'd get caught halfway through it.
I text her saying, you need to go and get that shirt out of my car. I was at the in-laws.
That was absolutely brilliant, Charlie. Honestly, it was just, it took a second. I thought, oh, magnificent. The wife's there. Hey, listen, if you had made in time, Charlie, the six-pack would have been out anyway. Listen, Tam, as far as the good result that Charlie's talking about in those two great goals, Steven Gerrard, I was watching him on Rangers television, just basically alongside Graham Souness, alongside Walter Smith, knowing the enormity of the job that he has at Rangers. His European stature, I think, is growing week in, week out. But he did say, look, it's great getting into Europe, but I want success in May.
Yeah, Peter, listen, the be-all and end-all for both Celtic and Rangers is the league. They both are going to have a serious fixture pile-up. I mean, they're going to be playing Thursday for a month, maybe 6 weeks, and that is going to take its toll on the squad. I would, listen, I like the Europa League. It just loses a little bit of glamour because there's no fans in. I look at Rangers playing Benfica away from home or at home, 50,000 packed in, great atmosphere. Celtic got to the San Siro or Parkhead, 60,000. It just loses its lustre, I think, when there's nobody there. And so that's why I think the league is definitely the priority, Charlie.
I'm delighted that actually both of them are in there, because there's no airs and graces. There's no excuses to say, we were at Europa League and we won the league. Both teams are now going to play the same amount of games, League and Europa League. Yeah, okay, it'd be great if they go further than the competition, into the next rounds. But there's no excuses for both clubs. They, both going to play the exact same games, Thursday, Sunday, and it's going to be a great league, and hopefully, the best team will come out on top.
Yeah, I think that's a good point that you make, Charlie. Over and above that, the other point from the game itself, when I was listening to Steven Gerrard after match press conference, he was talking about and raving about Roughie, James Tavernier. He says he's, the best right back in the country. We put a poll out on it, and I think everybody on PLZ Soccer's Twitter, the majority, I think, were favouring James Tavernier. He's really having a good season. He's come in for a bit of criticism, but those goals he's been scoring, 7 goals is nothing to be sniffed at.
Yeah, I couldn't understand that last year when a lot of the sort of Rangers supporters weren't convinced he was the captain initially, and they were looking for a replacement. I think he does a tremendous job getting forward. I don't think there's that many fullbacks get forward that much and give so much, free kicks, corners, that kind of stuff. Okay, defensively he might get caught out a couple of times. But for me, if he's charging forward and bombing forward 9 times out of 10 in the game, it's the people behind him who've got to cover that space. And I thought it was them that weren't helping him out rather than him, being defensively weak. So, no, all credit to him. I think even this season, I think he's went up a notch. And I think that's why you see that certain clubs down in England really fancy him.
Yeah,
Peter,
absolutely. I'm going to say, yeah.
Peter, I think the way Rangers play, listen, I seen Rangers obviously at Easter Road a couple of weeks ago, and when the Rangers centre-halves get the ball, the 2 full-backs for Rangers are on the halfway line. They're standing on the touchline, both of them. So that's just the way Rangers play. That's the way they play. And maybe that's why he gets caught out a little bit, because Steven Gerrard wants his full-backs to push up really, really high, and maybe a centre midfield play to come in and get the ball and create overloads out wide. So I think maybe a little bit harsh on Tavernier defending-wise, because that's the way he's asked to play. He's asked to play high up and go and attack a lot of the games.
Yeah, and I also think that's the way it suits him. I think he's good going forward. I mean, the ball in behind him has been a problem before, but going forward, his delivery into the box and some of his runs into the box to get on the end of things. Last night's was great credit to him for the goal. And let's not forget, he started it at the other end of the field. So I just thought it was a brilliant bit of play. The 2 goals were top drawer. I'm going to say hi to Patrick Harper. He says, "Hi guys, I'm watching from South Wales from my hospital bed, awaiting heart surgery. Tough draw for both Scottish clubs, but expect them to progress." I love the eyebrows, Roughie. Yep, every now and then Roughie does indeed get his eyebrows. Roughie does get his eyebrows done, Patrick, because what happens is the hair goes bright blonde, and then, of course, it highlights the fact that he can't do anything with his eyebrows. But Patrick, from your hospital bed, I'm sure everybody on the Football Show would like to wish you a successful operation, and here's hoping you're back 100% with us, because we value the fact that you watch the show. The other point here, Charlie Adam, is you mentioned money. You mentioned the qualification. I think Steven Gerrard would like one more in there, a key player that he can get in there now, and he's got the money.
Roughie. I think he's looking on a night out later, isn't he?
He's getting paranoid there.
I know.
Going to it, I think they're looking at a midfielder. Somebody told me yesterday they were looking at another midfielder. Boy Johnson at Preston is one that's on the list. Do I believe that they will get him out? It will cost him a bit of money because he's scored a few goals. I know he scored a lot of penalties, but he can also play in 2 different positions for them. So I think he's probably the one that they're looking at, but they'll need to try and get it over the line if they want to do it. But no, it puts them in a better position to sign players now. He said that before it. If we do get knocked out, then it might change our thinking. But they're in the group stage, and they might look to bring him in.
Yeah, there was talk of Everton midfielder Mohamed Besic and possibly other names that Charlie was just alluding to there. This is what Steven Gerrard had to say on his transfer targets.
The board, myself and Ross are trying to still add the person in the position that we feel like we need before the window shuts. But, we'll have to see how the next, 3 days pan out in terms of ins and outs. And someone's just asked me, is Mo Besic up in Glasgow having a medical for Rangers? That'd be news to me if he was. Nothing's changed in terms of what we're trying to do in the last few days of the windows.
Well, on that point, he'll obviously want to strengthen his side for the domestic tilt at that title. As far as Europe is concerned, when you think about his qualifying record, Tam, he deserves tremendous praise. I mean, 19 games, he's won 13, drawn 6, lost none, scored 38, conceded 7. Steven Gerrard, despite some rocky times and criticism for domestically not winning a trophy yet, that European record is where I think a lot of people down south still think he is destined for even greater things. No disrespect to Rangers.
Peter, it's a sensational record when you've obviously read it out there. It's fantastic. I mean, you look where Rangers were before he came in. Progress, a part-time team of plumbers from Luxembourg knocked him out, and you had Kikchinya in a bush arguing with fans. You know, to where they are from then to now. I know they've spent a bit of money, but it's a phenomenal change in Europe. And as you said, Celtic were always going to be a tough nut to crack for Steven Gerrard and Rangers. They were light years ahead of them in terms of finance and squad, and they've got winners. So it was always going to be difficult. So I think that his record in Europe does, you know, a lot of envious eyes will be getting glanced from European clubs and clubs in England, because it's tremendous. But he'll obviously be judged on what he wins. But I think he's going to be a top manager, even if he doesn't win anything this year for Rangers and he maybe leaves and goes somewhere else. I think he's a good manager. I think he'll go on and be a very good manager elsewhere, but whether it's England or elsewhere.
I think the thing about sorry, but obviously, listen, they've put a bit of money into the club and they've spent on players and things like that. But he had a vision, and listen, he respects what has gone in Rangers history, but he's tried to go in there and do it his own way with his staff, and you know, changing Murray Park, changing even the Ibrox, the dressing rooms and the layout and things like that, because every previous manager's stuck to that history and that tradition. And he's gone a different way and thought, I need to go this way. Different times, you know, the 20th century, and now they're moving in the times, and you know, fair play to them. They're getting the results, and the European, you know, record is phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. But the only thing I would say, and I think I like the way he conducts himself in a press conference. I like the way he's conducted himself since he arrived here. The football's improved year in, year out. The one thing that I would just be blunt about on this, Roughie, and it's where many a good Rangers or Celtic manager has faltered before. Second is nowhere. He's got to win that title this year. 3 years without that main trophy. A lot of Rangers fans will not tolerate it. You can have Steven Gerrard's mates down south sing from the high heavens about European football. Got to win the title.
Yeah, I think he'll have grasped that by now. I think he will know personally that is the quest for him. He knows what a difference that would be just to win one trophy. Obviously, the league would be the big one. But no, I think he knows now that up here, as you said there, second is no use. You have to beat your biggest rivals, and this has to be the season. No, he's buried himself in, and the guys are right. The players are quality that he's brought to the club. He's made the club a better place, and I'm sure the fans will be really excited the way they're playing just now, and with big games coming up, you know, they'll think again that this is the year.
A lot of people actually putting messages up on our Facebook and YouTube, just wondering if Roughie is at church or indeed in court, just waiting for the summons to go into the main hall to answer the charges. And in fact, as soon as you mentioned Tam Cowan still in the bush, he stood up and went, "That'll be me. I'm a witness." But nevertheless, he's there. Anyway, apart from anything else, Rangers has been a really good story from last night. 2 great goals, a wee bit nervy at the end, but nevertheless got through, so that's magnificent. Off the back of that, there was an earlier kick-off. It was out there, Sarajevo against Celtic. I watched that game and I just thought Celtic dominated, looked comfortable. I didn't see any real great threat, if I'm honest with you, Tam, from Sarajevo. The strikers looked a little bit shot shy. Celtic, as ever, dominating possession. And in the end, if anything, I think, you know, Edouard got the goal. They could have been more comfortable. I still think they need to have a greater cutting edge up front with 2 recognised strikers.
Yeah, Peter, I don't think there's been any doubt of losing the game. You know, I watched the game myself, and Listen, I think it's very difficult for a team. Celtic, particularly in the second half, really pinned them back. It's hard for a team to defend for 90 minutes. You know, I've been in that position myself, and eventually the quality will come through, and the other team will make a mistake. And it was actually a mistake for the goalkeeper. It was a good strike at goal, but he fumbled out to Edouard, who had a quietish game. I think again, you know, if I'm being honest, I don't think Edouard's at his best at all, but stuck it away and got the winner, and that's what it's all about for a striker, getting the winning goal. But you're right. I think Celtic at times over these last two European games, they've tried to play through the middle far too much. You know, and teams are parting the bus. You know, they're making it tight to go through the middle. And when they go wide, Greg Taylor, I like him. He's a decent player. His crossing's terrible. Peter. I've noticed it the last couple of games.
Yeah.
Taylor, you know, he's neat and tidy. His final ball was poor. He's got to improve on that if he's going to be a Celtic player, because every time it went wide, he was hitting the first man. And I have noticed it the last couple of games, to be honest.
I feel sorry for him, Charlie, because that boy puts in some shift. If anything, there is a growing campaign of criticism towards him. But as Tam pointed out, Charlie, I think, if anything, Greg Taylor should take a leaf out of Andy Robertson's book, which is quite simply stay behind, put in extra work, and work out how to actually get that ball in the box, constant crossing. There are many players along the way who work at their art, and I think, Charlie, you are more than aware of that, because, you know, when you were at your peak, I absolutely still love seeing you hit 30, 40-yard diagonals to someone's toe. It might be a bit of natural ability, but there's certainly a lot of hard work in the back of it. I'm sure you're going to tell me that.
No, there is a lot of hard work, but the criticism that's part and parcel of the old firm. You're not going to be a please for every eye. You know what I mean? You're not going to excite everybody. Greg Taylor, you know, had a good time at Kilmarnock, deserved his move. And listen, he's going through a tough patch. We don't know if he's staying behind after training, practicing his crossing, then other things, you know. I would imagine he would be doing that, because he'll have analysts that are looking at his game and saying, you know, when you're getting in that area, you need to be doing these types of crosses. So I just think you've got to give him a little bit of leeway, and you know, it's, you know, he's playing for Celtic. That's the pressure you've got to give. You know, is that because Tavernier is such a good crosser, or Barris is such a good? Because Frimpong's not an unbelievable crosser of the ball. He's not as good as Tavernier. It's just one of them that, you know, he does have to work on it. And I'm sure the coaches at Celtic, you know, what do you call John Kennedy and Gordon Strachan's boy, Gavin Strachan, they'll be telling them, like, you know, keeping them behind and trying to work on it. And listen, I just hope that he gets a good opportunity and a good run in the team, because, you know, he's deserved that opportunity with what he's done at Kilmarnock.
As far as, you know, never mind criticism on a personal basis, Celtic received heavy criticism after Ferencváros and the exit from the Champions League. But Neil Lennon said after the pain of that, this was the perfect pick-me-up.
Just psychologically really good. You know, it opens the season up. We've got big games now to look forward to. Obviously, financially, it helps the club out as well during this difficult time. But, you know, for the players, they've got big games to look forward to. And I think we could, you know, do well again in the competition. You know, there was definitely a fallout after Ferencváros where we were bitterly disappointed, and it lingers for a while, but hopefully that's gone now and we can look forward to the rest of the season.
So he's delighted now that they're into the group stages. Incidentally, you know, great for Neil Lennon. He didn't want to be the man to end the run. 10 seasons they've had regular group stage football, Roughie. That's no mean feat.
No, it's fantastic, and that's where the fans not being allowed into the stadium to see these games. You know, that's the biggest disappointment, because I think every Rangers and Celtic supporters live on European football. They love the big nights of the teams coming, the big teams coming into the park, and everything that goes with it. And they'll be hurting badly, you know, that they can't get in. But as a player, you just want to go and enjoy it, and I'm sure he'll want to try and go as far further than what they have done. You know, I think last year a lot of people were talking about, they could go right to the quarterfinals. So I think we would like to think Rangers and Celtic, you know, could get a fantastic run, and they could go that far. You know, it'd be absolutely tremendous. And that I think that the only teams that they've got to worry about are the teams that are in pot one. You know, these teams that were in that pot one, I can't see anybody else winning that tournament. So I think they've got a good chance of going pretty far if they keep to the form that they've got.
Yeah, well, remember Celtic were actually in pot one, Roughie. So, standard
they get a draw of death.
they get the AC Milan. So, so much for pot one. Charlie,
it's the worst draw Celtic could have got. Like we were talking before. I think it's a big challenge for both clubs. I think I'd rather be playing AC Milan or Standard Liège or Lille instead of playing Karabag or wherever. Do you know what I mean? At least the games are top games, good international players that you're going to play against, and test yourself to see if you're as good as what your opposition is.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you one thing, I'm looking forward to it because hopefully AC Milan decide to put Big Shyness out for the press conference because once Zlatan walks in there,
Get me Gavin in there to ask him a few questions.
Tells everybody how good he is and how many goals he's going to score, then I don't think too many of us will argue with him. But it's great to see players of that calibre coming to Celtic Park, and of course with Rangers as well. That's the type of thing we wish all the fans were into sample this, but it's not to be. I'll tell you a good thing though, Charlie. 2 Scottish teams will be in the qualifying stage next season, and then hopefully if we keep this whole bit of momentum going, we could have a situation where 1 Scottish team will progress automatically in season 22-23 into the group stage of the Champions League, which would be fantastic.
It is. I think both teams, the coefficient, they've progressed it well, and obviously Rangers and Celtic fly the flag for us because the other clubs can only get to a certain point of the quality that they've got. And to where we were and where we are now, that we might have an opportunity to get 1 automatic qualification spot is phenomenal. And if these clubs can keep doing well, Rangers and Celtic, then it's all good for the national team as well.
Peter. Yeah, absolutely.
The other clubs have got to do more. Your Motherwells, your St Johnstone's, whoever is in that, 3rd or 4th place gets into Europe. I looked at some of the teams last night. Dundalk getting into the group.
Can I get some of that sparkling water, please?
Can we get that? Can we get some of that sparkling water, which is in front of your camera? I can't believe it. I can't believe he's so blatantly got a sponsor, Roughie. He's doing his own sponsorship deals now. That's incredible. Did you not be inspired at sparkling water?
Yeah. It looks as if it's one of the bottles. Looks as if it's one of the bottles he's nicked for Hibs.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's amazing. Anyway,
sorry, Peter.
What was the point you were going to make?
No, it was. Listen, I looked. Your Aberdeen, Motherwell. They've got to do better. They've got to do more. I mean, Dundalk. Look at Dundalk, a team from Ireland. Probably less budget than Aberdeen, but certainly less budget than Aberdeen and Motherwell. And they played a team from, I think, the Faroe Islands last night in the last qualifier. So you've got teams getting into that last game, and we should be competing with them. So I think your Motherwell, maybe Hibs next year or Aberdeen, have got to do more, Peter. We can't just keep relying on Celtic and Rangers. Not good enough.
No, well, can I just pick an argument with you on this? And Charlie and Roughie, by all means, chip in on this one. But I'm going to pick an argument with you on it because, quite simply, the flip side of that is we've either got not enough good players in Scotland, or the managers are not good enough to get the players that they have available through, because we're not talking about 1 or 2 years. We are talking 10 to 15 years of poor performances from teams out with Celtic and Rangers. Now, I would counter that by saying to you, we think we're at this level in Scotland, but the standard of football I have watched is down here. Our game has dropped so much that now in the last 3 or 4 years, even Celtic and Rangers are Europa League sides, but not top Europa League sides, mediocre Europa League sides. I'm sorry, but our game's dropped that much. Even the standard of our player has dropped so much. We are slowly coming out of that curve, and it's a slow upward curve. But I would love to see a Motherwell, an Aberdeen, a Hibs, a Hearts into the group stages of them. Well, but the reason is, I think your estimations are too high, Tam. I think our game is down here.
It's not as bad as the Irish League.
No, it is, but it's your luck of the draw as well. And I think, because obviously I take a little bit. I've had an interest in Scottish football for a few years, but this year, the start of the season, I thought was a shambles. Some of the games, you know, the Sky games that we had earlier in the season, people couldn't even pass the ball 5 yards, and you're asking to try and compete in Europe. You know, listen, these clubs are, you know, you go away and keep, for instance, a Carabag or whatever. Technically, they're good. At times in our Scottish game, we try and we're not technically good enough. Some of them, you know, even in the top league, they're not interested in want to pass the ball, and it's like, hold on a minute, that's the game. It's like it's not nothing. The ball's not going to hurt you. But I see it like, I can't name names, but I said to the lads all night and my team, you know, step in and play. He went, I don't want the ball. I said, you know what? He says, yeah, I don't want the ball. I'm not any good in the ball. Just I'd rather defend. He says, have a bit of bravery and have a bit something about you. If you make a mistake, you make a mistake. That's part of it. But I just think that I think technically our players are not as good as we all think they are.
Well, I have no delusions of grandeur on this one, Roughie. Kenny Whitson says the difference between Celtic and Rangers and the rest is money. Well, that, I agree with you, is a factor here, Roughie. But the point here is, technically, we don't have enough cream so that the rest of Scottish football can benefit from it, even after the English clubs cherry pick the half-decent ones. We don't have enough of a pool that we used to call on. I mean, Ian Noble, who's a big Aberdeen fan, says Celtic and Rangers wouldn't beat the 1992 Dons team. I mean, you only have to go back a generation to see the calibre of players and teams, and now look at it technically.
Yeah, but I still agree with Tam to a certain extent. Some of the teams that are in this Europa Cup shouldn't live with the likes of Aberdeen, you know, and a lot of them that are in have qualified. I've never heard of some of them. You know, a lot of them are new clubs that have only been formed.
Yeah,
exactly. You know, that's what we're saying.
A team, Motherwell are meant to be the third best team in Scotland, or up there with the third best. They can't even beat a team from Ireland. So what does that say? Is that the recruitment of Motherwell, or is that just saying that our players are not good enough?
Well, I would say they're not good enough. You know, and they haven't been good enough for the past 2 or 3 years. But they should
that's the
be.
point
They
we're
should
making.
be when they come up against these. Yeah, but they should be when they're coming up against these teams for the Faroe Islands and whatever.
But they're not.
You know that.
But they're not.
Yeah, but you're not going to tell me the teams for the Faroe Islands are technically better gifted than our players.
No, but what I'm telling you, Roughie, is overall the teams.
Well, they've got something more about them.
Stages,
they've either got they're more disciplined. The manager understands European football more, or better, or whatever. Because we're not getting results against these teams, so there's got to be some reason for it. It's not like every year. Okay, Aberdeen got beat from Sporting Lisbon the other week. Our teams are not getting beat from a Sporting Lisbon in Europa League. They're getting beat from, you know, teams from the Faroe Islands, or, you know, Irish teams and things like that. No disrespect to them. They shouldn't be living with us, but that just shows that our league, or the players that we've got, are not as good as everybody thinks they are.
Yeah, and Ross Fulton, Tam, I think sums it up nicely on Facebook. He says they don't get the opportunity, Peter. He's talking obviously about Scottish players. They don't get the opportunity because they're suffocated by substandard foreign imports. That has been a problem, I think, over 3-4 generations of footballers that have been brought in, and the Scottish footballers haven't been able to get that magical 100 to 150 games of experience. And the other thing that our league suffers from, Tam, is once you get 2 or 3 half-decent players, because our game is starved of money, they can be cherry-picked away, and then you have to try and build again and look for a conveyor belt. I understand the difficulties for Motherwell and Aberdeen. Even I've dropped my standards when it comes to Celtic and Rangers. I look at Celtic and Rangers, and I make no bones about telling everybody in this show, the Europa League, for me, is a substandard competition that I really don't like to see Celtic and Rangers in. That is their level, and that's the point. That's their level. And by the time we get to the group stages here, if Rangers and Celtic get to the knockout phase, which they have managed before, we're all singing and dancing at this level, because that is our level. If we get to a situation where Celtic and Rangers suddenly can amass such points that they can get into the Champions League group stages, where are we? We're hoping they can finish third so they drop into the Europa League again. That is the level of it, you know.
Peter, I agree with you, but I agree. Listen, the Celtic Rangers are at a level. The Champions League now is, the money involved is unbelievable. You know, you've got all these clubs, and Charlie was mentioning, some of the clubs from Eastern Europe, you know, they've got serious money. You know, they're putting money in, and some of their clubs are starting to get into the Champions League now. You've got the Turkish teams and teams like that as well who've got so much money. But my original point was, I just feel as if our clubs out with Celtic, Rangers have got to be doing better in Europe, and whether that comes from standards, you know, player standards or whatever. I just see some of the teams, Dundalk, you know, playing a team from a Faroe Islands to get into the group stages, and I just think Aberdeen and Motherwell should be as good, or if not better, than Dundalk and is it Klavsic, I think, who they beat last night, and that's what's annoying me.
Now, I was going to say one other thing, which is quite simply that Rangers and Celtic and numerous other clubs, as many guys on here are mentioning, and girls as well, who are fans of all the clubs, is of course are getting ever closer to the window closing, the transfer window. Celtic, again, Roughie, it's magnificent. I could write down a list of all the left backs that every journal has come up with for a scoop on who's going to sign for Rangers or Celtic. Celtic's is the left back situation. The latest one is Mattia De Cilio from Juventus. I can't quite see him joining. I might be wrong. They might pull a rabbit out of the hat, but nevertheless, clubs are scurrying about. And Tam, the Hibbies, after Jim Goodwin earlier this week saying Kyle McGuinness is not for sale, what's happened?
Money talks, Peter. No, listen, I think it's great that Hibs are keeping all these smaller clubs alive in Scotland, to be honest, and giving them a few quid now and again, just to keep them going. But no, seriously, I think that. Listen, I think Jack Ross loves him. I've heard that Jack Ross loves the player. You know, he gave him his debut at St Mirren, Kyle McGuinness, and he's tracked him for a number of years, and I think it was the fourth bid that was eventually accepted. I think the boy wants to go to Hibs as well, so he's maybe pushed it as well. So listen, I think he's obviously getting a medical, I think, today, and if he passes the medical, he's been out since January with his cruciate, so it's not really a gimme that he passes, but hopefully he can pass his medical. 22 years old, captain of St Mirren. You know, it's great that Hibs are targeting these young, hungry Scottish players, because, you know, you mentioned it earlier, going down the route of substandard foreign players. You could go and sign a guy that's maybe 7 or 8 clubs in Europe at 30-year-old and bring him in on a free. You know, I think the Hibs supporters and the Hibs board would rather you go and maybe spend $100,000 on a young boy who you could maybe sell on for £1 million in a couple of years' time if he does well. So I'm really impressed with the way that Hibs are going about it, and their transfer, you know, that's their strategy at the minute.
Yeah, thanks to so many people who message us, give us their opinions. I try to read out as many as I can on YouTube and on Facebook as well. Niall Kane says, wee bit of breaking news. He says, what's your thoughts on Motherwell winger Jermaine Hilton leaving Motherwell to join Ross County? Well, this is what's going to happen, Roughie, over the next 2 or 3 days, especially, you know, the likes of Motherwell and that. They'll try and, you know, get a few players that they don't think have got a future in the next 6 months, and everybody will be juggling about looking for the odd loan deal here and there.
Yeah, it will be loan deals. Obviously, this one's got a wee bit of money involved in it, but I think we all remember the transfer deadlines for 5 and 6 years ago. We all used to sit up to about 11 o'clock at night and watch all the clubs, the players that are coming and going. That doesn't happen anymore. You know, be lucky if there's 5 or 6 move, you know, but that's the way ahead financially for the clubs is loans, because there's no money available, particularly with the COVID. You know, if somebody does come in and offer you money, you've got it. Whereas you probably wouldn't have looked at it before, you're now having to look at it and say, look, we really need to take that money. I think Ross County will lose the big centre forward, the big boy Ross Stewart. I think somebody will come in with something for him. I think he'll be on his way before Monday. But you're right. If the clubs haven't used up their budgets, there'll be nobody else coming in.
You know it, Tam.
I know it.
When he says that, somebody's giving him a wee tinkle on that. Oh, I've heard Ross Stewart's on the move, you know. But I'll tell you one thing: if Ross Stewart is on the move, Charlie, I don't know if you've seen him too much, but he's a big gangly-looking boy. But I like him as a player. He's got a good touch, you know, and he can score the odd goal here and there. I think he'll get better and better. I hope he stays in Scotland.
Yeah, no, he's somebody that I know a little bit. I was watching him and that, and there was a club for me and about him in England that I know, and they were interested in him, but obviously the money that Ross County were talking was a bit much for them, so there is interest in him down south as well, so You know, I think like Roughie said, you know, they might lose him in the next couple of days, and that'll be a blow for him because he's done well since he's come into the team.
Yeah, James Thompson says, Peter, does Tam think Hibs will be finished bringing in players with that signing of McManus?
Yeah, I think they will be. Listen, there's been rumours of Alan Campbell. I just don't see that happening. I think Alan Campbell will go to England. I think they're talking 400 or 500 grand to get him out of Motherwell. There's no way Hibs or Aberdeen have got that money. So I think McManus will come in. You know, there's obviously a little bit of doubt over Scott Allen. There's obviously still an announcement to be made over him, but I think that Hibs are looking in a strong position at the minute. You know, if you could possibly be greedy in terms of Hibs, you'd maybe look at another striker. Because I think they're maybe a little bit thin up front, but you know, I think the squad that Jack Ross has assembled, if they get McManus in, is as good as anyone outside Old Firm.
Yeah, the one thing that I think we've all learned over the course of being in this COVID situation where we have to obviously be in these 4 boxes where we'd love to be together is if you have anything behind you, then the banter that goes on Facebook and YouTube is absolutely magnificent, which is why Tam and I tend to have a very neutral background if we can help it. Roughie's
you talk about Phileas Fogg?
Well, I was just saying, yeah, Phileas Fogg is next because this is a belter from Jim Gordon, and I'm going to read it out because it's well worthy of it, Charlie. Jim Gordon says, could Roughie point out on Charlie's map any country he hasn't had a bird in? So there can't be many. There can't be many, says Jim Gordon. He's been all over the place. It's been magnificent. Charlie looking and having a wee look there.
Just when he moved out the road there, I saw Madagascar. Very nice place to go to.
Yeah, and if Madagascar could phone us right now, that would be fantastic. Just so we know she's okay and the money's still getting through. Anyway, apart from anything else, great line. Thank you for that, Jim. Quite a lot of people come on our Facebook and our YouTube, and I say it every week, but only from the basis of the standards of decency. We have been banning a few people who are completely and utterly unhinged and, you know, related to Donald Trump. But if you can, use your head and don't be affected by some people whose posts are, you know, they beg our belief, put it that way. Just disregard them and watch the show and enjoy it. That's all we would say to you, because eventually, if we blank them, they'll go away and they'll go and join other club TVs where they can all be off their nut. But here we like to keep everybody talking about football who love their club and are absolutely delighted when they play great football. That's what this show is all about. So, but Jim Gordon, great line, had to mention it, Jim. Here's the Scottish Premiership fixtures for the Friday night and of course Sunday, because Celtic and Rangers will be involved in that. Aberdeen against St Mirren, Dundee United, Livingston, Hibs against Hamilton, Killie Motherwell's postponed sadly, St Johnstone Celtic on the Sunday, Rangers against Ross County. So, again, it's a blow, but it's not a fatal blow, Charlie, for Kyle McGuinness leaving St Mirren. There's still a bit of time for Jim Goodwin, hopefully, to do a wee bit of jiggery-pokery himself to get somebody in. Whether he can get it in before October 5th, who knows? But I'm sure he'd like to use some money.
Yeah, listen, I think for where St Mirren are in the league, it's a blow for them. You know, when you're losing a player like that, obviously he's been out with this injury, but it's a great move for the lad. I think it's a club that, you know, Hibs are going the right direction with a manager that believes in young players. I've been impressed with what Hibs have brought over the summer, and listen, it's difficult to challenge the Old Firm, but that third place is definitely up for grabs, and you know, another good piece of business. But I worry for St Mirren, I do. You know, if they can't replace him, it's going to be more extremely tough.
Yeah, Aberdeen against St Mirren. How do you see it going, Charlie?
I think Aberdeen will win this 2-0.
Right. I should have actually brought your page with me, Tam, because you and Roughie have submitted your scorelines on this. So what do you think, Tam?
I think I went for Aberdeen 2, St Mirren 1, and Roughie would definitely go something different because he never puts the same as me. He's very strategic.
No, I agree with Charlie. I think Aberdeen will win this one 2-0.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement with that one. I think Aberdeen will win it. I have written them down and handed them over to our adjudicator, so there's no jiggery-pokery on this one.
Where did you go, Peter? What have you went?
I went for an Aberdeen win. I think it was 2-0, Roughie. I went for an Aberdeen win anyway. I've got it on a sheet of paper, but I'll send it over to you. Norman Heaney says, 100% Peter. Great, the true supporters come on. Craig McAllister says, politics has no place in football, so why mention Trump? Craig, you're naive if you think politics has no place in football. Anyway, Aberdeen against St Mirren. I think we're all in agreement there. Dundee United against Livingston. Charlie, listen, I mentioned to Steven Naismith yesterday, Charlie, the amount of English clubs and clubs now starting to look at talented players at 15 and 16-year-olds. Dundee United now looking, and there's clubs hovering about their talent.
Yeah, they've always produced players, Dundee United, over the years, and I think one thing about Mickey, he's been a breath of fresh air since he's come up to the league. He's been honest. He's embraced it. I love listening to his Zoom calls every week and things like that. But I fancy United tonight. I think
when he stares at the table.
He's brilliant, isn't
he? His Zoom camera's on the table. He's like that.
He's
I know.
Unbelievable. Great guy. He's a great guy, and I think he's been good for the game, and I think United will win this tonight. We've got some good young players coming through.
I think I've gone for a draw, Tam.
I've went for Dundee United 2-1. I think they'll have too much. I think with Shankland back and Clark, they've got goals in them. Livingston, not great travellers, so I'll go 2-1 United.
Roughie?
Yeah, I'm going to go one each as well. I think Livy will get a wee bit of confidence for the win they had last week. I think they'll be hard to break down. Dundee United haven't proved yet that they have got that 2 and 3 goals in them. So I think Livingston will make it hard for them. I'm going for one each.
Yeah, okay, Easter Road.
Can they lose Shankland the next couple of days?
Well, there's a good question, Roughie.
I think it'd be a blow to the manager if the club decided to let him go. I think another year with Dundee United would help. But then again, money talks, as we've just spoken about there just now. It's St Mirren, so it depends what offer came in.
Yeah, I think you're right, Charlie. That would be a real body blow to them if Shankland went out the door. I'd like to see him stay. The only reason I really would like to see him stay, apart from obviously Dundee United would take a huge offer, but I'd like to see him stay to see how many goals he can score in this league, Tam.
Yeah, I'm the same. I think he can get 20 goals in this league. I think he's a natural goal scorer. He's done it at every level he's been at. He looks sharp. His all-round game, I think, is improved as well. He holds the ball up well. He brings people into the game and he gets himself in the box. So no, I think he'd be a huge. And you're talking about a blow. I think it'd be a massive blow. He lose Shankland. I think that would be the difference between potentially top 6 and being in a relegation battle. To be honest.
Yeah, and just in case you think.
There was times on this show when Peter would have taken you up on a bet there on that prediction. We've done this in numerous occasions when somebody's been getting 30 or 40 goals. So that's a bold prediction, 20. I'm surprised Peter's not going up with a challenge there.
Roughie, I was looking at the next line there and I thought, okay, Tam's coming to the end of his rant. I'll go to the next line. And did you say Shankland 20 goals?
I think he could get 20. I didn't say he would, but I think he's possibly could get 20 if he stays the whole season.
Just remember, Tam, as well, this is well, the other thing I was going to say to you, and Charlie will be well aware of this because Charlie, since he arrived on this programme, has just come in with metal studs. He's not been wearing mouldies. He's just been coming in and savaging everybody above the knee. But what you've fallen foul of there is clearly Roughie's infection has sneaked over a box into you. Yeah. Because the last thing we need from you, McManus, is coulda, woulda, shoulda, might have.
I think if he stays all season, I think he'll get 20. So I'll bet you a tenner. If you want.
Why don't we do this, Tam? I say he won't score 20, you say will, and we go 50 quid to St Margaret of Scotland Hospice.
Right, okay. He's got to bet, if he leaves tomorrow, you can't
it's off.
The bet's off.
Oh no, I wouldn't do that to you. I forgot to God's sake. I wouldn't do that to you, knowing full well Chesterfield are in for him. But anyway, apart from anything else, no, I wouldn't do that. It's got to be there the whole season. That's good.
Right, okay.
Just in case you're wondering about whether politics and sport mix, they do indeed. Reg Tate has just come up with a great line. He says, the local paper here has a photo of Donald Trump and it says, Turnberry Golf Course owner has tested positive for COVID. So it's amazing how even a local paper can put a twist on it. Hibs against Hamilton Accies. I can't even see the Accies score. I can see a Hibs win.
Yeah, obviously I'm heading through to the game, Peter, straight after this show. I think
you working for Hibs TV?
Yeah, I am tonight.
Wow.
You're joking?
Yeah.
That's
I don't think I
incredible.
mentioned that, but yeah, I'm through there.
He'll be drinking his water on his way, won't he?
Well, that's exactly it. I mean,
water.
that's fantastic. So,
No,
what do you think, Tam?
I think Hibs will win. I think Hibs will win 3-1. I think Hamilton will score. I think Brian Rice will go and have a go tonight. I think he always goes and has a go, and I think they'll score. But I think Hibs will be too strong. 3-1.
Okay, so the scoreline there was given to you by Mars Bars and, of course, Highland Spring Water. We've got to mention that now every time Tam opens his mouth. He does his own sponsorship deals on the show. So Hibs 3-1. Charlie, what are you going for?
I'll go 3-0 Hibs.
Roughie, I've gone 2-0 Hibs, I think.
I've gone 2-0 Hibs as well.
Have you just picked the same teams this week?
Yeah, that's how you close the gap, by the way.
That's how you reel you in, by the way. two of us just phoned each other and say, let's make sure the wee man finishes last. Because what a meal it's going to be. And Charlie's going to be there just noshing into it. And the good news is, Charlie, if you drop any of your spaghetti down your top, your wife comes out from behind the couch and she's got a new bit of gear for you. It's magnificent. So don't worry about it. It's fantastic. Okay, we'll get the Hibbies for a win. St Johnstone against Celtic. This is what Neil Lennon had to say about St Johnstone against Celtic on the Sunday.
There's always going to be a lull after the length of time that Tommy Wright was there. He did a fantastic job. Callum, has come in. He needs time to put his own stamp on things, and I think they're just in a transition period. However, we all know that teams will raise their game to play against us, and we're away from home, so we'll be as strong as we possibly can before we go into the break. We must try and win the game and keep this run going. It's very important for us.
I have to be honest with you, Roughie, I've gone for an emphatic 3-0 win for Celtic on this, and it's a very good point that Neil mentioned there, because I still am gobsmacked that nobody has Tommy Wright as the manager. I really have got a high regard for him. Yeah,
it's a tough one for Callum Davison. He's came in, I think he's came in at the wrong time. I think Tommy had beginning to introduce some experience and youngsters in there. It's not happened for him at all. They're not playing well. They don't look as if they're going to get any wins, and the Celtic game at the weekend will be a hard one for them. I'm not going to go 3-0. I'm going to go 2-0. I think Celtic eventually will wear them down, but I can't see St Johnstone getting anything out of that game.
Neil Gray is a St Johnstone fan. He says, I fear for us, but knowing us, this will be the game. We'll get something out of it. They'll need to play better than what they've done. I think Callum needs a wee bit of time. He's a young manager. Charlie needs a wee bit of time and support because he was an excellent player in his day. He just needs a bit of support time and hopefully build his own team.
He does, and like Neil said before, that it's difficult to replace a manager who's won the Scottish Cup and was very successful there. And it does take time. Callum's he's got good experience as a number two, and it's totally different being a number one. And I think this could be the game. If you want to try and get something against the Old Firm, these are the games straight after a big European game. Celtic's flying back from Sarajevo. It's going to be tough, but I still fancy Celtic with the quality they've got. I'm going to go 4-0.
4-0, and I'll tell you before I get to Tam on this, James McLaughlin, he might be a Celtic fan. I'm not quite sure. He's got it Celtic 7, St Johnstone 0. So he's clearly tipping Celtic. And Andy Wilson, who's in Australia, who's a Rangers fan.
He's not a St Johnstone fan anyway.
Well, Andy Wilson, who's an Australia, who's been absolutely battering me on this Facebook for a T-shirt sent over to Australia. Andy Wilson reckons St Johnstone 8, Celtic 0. So Andy clearly in Australia, time difference, has opened a few tinnies and he's absolutely bladdered out of his head. Tam, what are you going for?
Listen, I think that St Johnstone need a striker. I think they're desperately needing a striker. I've seen the highlights against Livingston last week, and they created a lot of chances. They're putting loads of crosses in the box. You know, Conway on one side, and Tanz on the other side. They're putting loads of crosses in. They need a striker. And until they get that striker, I feel the worst for them. If they don't get a striker, I think they could get relegated. So I'm going to go Celtic 3-0.
Right, okay, so we've got an emphatic win for Celtic. The great thing about this whole situation, Charlie, is it's week in, week out now. Celtic and Rangers will be on the Thursday into the Sunday because of Europa League and this league. Rangers are at home to Ross County. I don't know about you, but I suddenly see a Rangers side, never mind momentum, I can feel a real groundswell of positivity, confidence that that they maybe just lacked last season in the second half of the season, but it seems to have come back in abundance, which is why I think they'll absolutely dismantle Ross County.
Yeah, I see a different mentality in that group. The management, the staff, he drilled it in, using the experience of previously, the disappointments. People like Scott Arfield being out the side, come in, been tremendous. And even Steven Gerrard saying, before, Ryan Jack, first name on the team sheet, probably won't play again on Sunday. Kamara, Arfield and Davis have been excellent since they've come in. So I don't think too many changes for Rangers. And I think this could be a 3 or 4 job as well. So I'll go for 3-0.
And just in case,
quite
a lot of people...
Roughie,
well, I was just about to say the judge has packed up for the night. There are two things there. Either the judge has said you'll need to come back tomorrow, Roughie, to answer this case, or the sound in the background was Charlie Adams' wife just putting the money in the safe and locking it and shutting the door and then twisting the key so that nobody sees.
No, I have to say it was my daughter's dog getting a bit impatient and scratching the door to see what was happening. So fortunately, he never came in. We've been right off here.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Tam, did you get a chance to tell us that? I've gone 3-0 Rangers.
Nah, I think Rangers will win 4-0. I agree. I just think they're playing with so much confidence at the minute. They're scoring some terrific goals, passing the ball well, goals from all over the pitch. Tavernier, Barisic, chipping in with goals and plenty of competition for strikers in the middle of the park. So, I think Rangers will be far too strong. 4-0.
Yeah, Roughie, did you give us a prediction, or you want to bring the?
Yeah, I did give a prediction. At this moment in time, I can't remember what it is, but I will. It was a Rangers win, obviously, but I'll go with whatever I texted it to you. I don't want to say 4 in case it was 3. It might be 7. You never know.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, hey, listen. I think we started this show on a positive note with regards to Celtic and Rangers in European competition, which is absolutely fantastic for Scottish football. You can argue the piece on Tam McManus's point all day about the other clubs. They need to step up. What are the problems? Is it grassroots? Is it managers? Is it players' technical ability? It was all in into the melting pot there, and thanks to so many people for passing comment on it. I will end the show on a positive note in just a moment, but Charlie, one negative is Rod Petrie made a last-ditch plea to the First Minister, Nicola Sturgeon, to let fans in for Scotland against Israel. I just can't see it, can you?
No, definitely not. No way what's going on in the country at the moment. If the league clubs can't even get fans in, there's no way Scotland are going to get it. So, listen, it's disappointing because the Tartan Army are a vocal support, but we have to get on with it, and hopefully the experience that they had last month will stand them in good stead for this big game.
Yeah, absolutely. Big thank you to Tam McManus, who appeared on the programme today, sponsored by MB Bars and Caramac. So next week, when Tam has more sponsors, we'll be able to get more opinion out of him on the show. Thanks to so many people who've posted great messages on YouTube and Facebook. We will pick out, including Andy Wilson. Andy, you've absolutely nipped my brain that much that I'm going to send you a T-shirt to Perth, Australia. What more can I say than that, Andy? There you are. that hopefully will make your weekend for you. And I'm also going to send a T-shirt to Alison, Sarah, Carol, because Alison regularly watches us on the programme. We try to get as many people a T-shirt as we can.
Is that 3 names? Is that 3 people you're sending to, or just one?
No, that's Alison, Sarah and Carol. They all live in the same house. It's a modern thing. And Andy Wilson...
Roughie's dropping that
message. Well, I can tell you, if Roughie's dropping it off, Alison, Sarah and Carol are very, very happy indeed. And Andy Wilson has said, woohoo! So he's a happy man. I've made his weekend. All we need to do, Andy, is I'll message you and we'll get your address, and Alison as well. We will try and get as many prizes out to you for watching the programme. It's as simple as that. We really are delighted you're joining the football family, and all we would say to you is like, share and follow us on Facebook, and also if you get a chance, subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. As you can see, the guys have been in great form. Thanks to Tam, to Charlie, to Roughie as well. Have a great weekend. On Monday we'll bring you the result of Hearts against Partick Thistle, game number 24 this weekend, as they play each other relentlessly non-stop because they're best buddies. How did it finish today, Roughie? Hearts against Thistle?
I think, not unfortunately, because I like to see Hearts doing well. I think they eventually won 2-0, but we missed a penalty at 1-0, which probably turned the game. So, no, I think it's one of these games, everybody's happy.
Yeah, well, absolutely, Roughie. And the good news is we've just spoken to John Nelms, the Dundee owner, and the game has been declared null and void, Roughie. So that's absolutely fantastic. So, on that note, thanks for watching. Have a great weekend, everyone.
Expect the best used car deals guaranteed. Visit Arnold Clark